Welcome to Port Charles, where the drama runs deep. Doctors and nurses.
Hollywood icons Genie Francis and Jonathan Frakes reveal the secrets to their 40-year marriage. Beyond their General Hospital and Star Trek fame, they candidly discuss navigating early stardom, personal trauma, and social anxiety. This vulnerable look at their enduring bond highlights a lifetime of resilience and mutual support. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the show.
Welcome to the deep dive. We are jumping straight into a really remarkable collection of source material today.
We are.
It's all compiled from these incredibly candid interviews focusing on the intertwined lives and careers of two television icons, Genie Francis and Jonathan Frakes.
And our mission here is to go, way beyond the red carpets and the famous characters they played. We're synthesizing a truly dual narrative.
A dual narrative, how so?
Well, on one side, you have the immense pressure of high-profile fame. I mean, the pop culture explosion of General Hospital.
Right.
And then the enduring global phenomenon of Star Trek. But on the flip side, the sources reveal these very private, often hidden struggles.
Things like social anxiety, trauma.
Exactly. Bipolar disorder. And just the extremely delicate balancing act it takes to keep a 40-year marriage going when your individual social needs are...
Well, they're fundamentally divergent. And when we say divergent, we mean wildly divergent. We're going to show you how one of Hollywood's biggest legends actually confessed that the COVID-19 pandemic became, and this is her quote, the promised land.
It's an incredible statement.
We're also going to unpack how one of television's most iconic romantic pairings, Luke and Laura, has this complex, controversial foundation that's really rooted in trauma. A trauma one of our subjects is only now, decades later, flat out refusing to defend.
It's a heavy topic.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this and see how deeply that personal experience informs a public life.
Let's start at the beginning with Genie Francis. Specifically, the high-pressure environment that really forged her career. She was only 14.
14 years old when she started acting professionally.
Yes. Her first role was on the show Family, where she played a character she later summarized with incredible candor as a nasty little bitch.
That's certainly an interesting start for someone who would become America's sweetheart. But the real crucible was General Hospital, GH.
Oh, absolutely. The sources paint this picture of just an utterly intense, demanding environment in those early years. They filmed on this place they called Stage 51.
And it was essentially a live TV boot camp, right?
A concept that's almost unimaginable to modern actors. She recalls that because of the breakneck pace, the show was basically filmed live.
No second takes.
No takes. No ability to stop the cameras and restart. If you made a mistake, it aired. That was it.
And she was carrying that pressure from home, too. Her father was an actor.
He was, and he gave her this piece of advice that was so simple, but just profound. He told her, you can't make a mistake.
Wow.
And she completely internalized that fear of failure. She was so terrified and so prepared that she said she never once went up on her lines.
She wasn't just learning her own dialogue?
No, she was especially memorizing everyone's lines around her, trying to anticipate every single move to avoid disaster.
Yeah.
That's an enormous mental burden for a teenager.
And that kind of early professional intensity, it has to come with a lasting psychological cost. She introduced a concept for this that was, well, it was fascinating and pretty heartbreaking.
Arrested development.
Yes.
It's a really powerful way of framing her experience. She describes herself as being completely separated from her natural peer group starting at age 14.
Right.
And to explain the results, she used this analogy that it really sticks with you. She said, imagine putting a 14-year-old child in a glass jar for 5 years.
Okay.
When you take the lid off, you pull out a 19-year-old body, but socially and emotionally, you're still looking at a 14-year-old.
She missed all of it, all the critical, messy, foundational stuff that happens in those years.
All of it. She never set foot in high school. She even said she still has nightmares about that loss.
Nightmares about high school.
Yeah, about losing those developmental years, figuring out social cliques, basic dating dynamics, just being a normal teenager.
And this whole rapid ascent wasn't an accident.
No, not at all. It was driven by the GH producer at the time, Gloria Monty. She had this pioneering vision to completely transform daytime television.
And she saw Francis as the key.
As the vehicle for this change. We know that Monty actually took Francis's father out to dinner, specifically to get his permission, his blessing, to push his young daughter into this incredibly demanding, groundbreaking role.
That role, of course, is what rocketed her into a stratosphere of fame few people ever even touch.
It created the Luke and Laura coupling.
Right.
And the pop culture magnitude of Luke and Laura it's genuinely difficult to grasp today, in our fragmented media world.
We're talking about a television event that just transcended the screen.
Oh, completely. When the fictional wedding happened, the estimated viewership was 30 million people.
30 million? That's a staggering cultural reach.
It is. But for all its impact, the foundation of that iconic romance is something Frances has had to grapple with deeply as an adult.
This is the controversial part. The sources confirm the relationship storyline began with what is often called the assault aspect.
And Frances was about 17, so she was underage when they filmed it.
Now, we should emphasize the scene itself was highly implied.
Very. It showed dancing, and then the actors just dropped out of frame. There was no physical violence ever depicted on screen, but the implication was clear.
And what followed was this incredible weight placed on a young actress.
A stunning weight. Frances, who was still a child in so many ways, was basically thrown out into the media to defend the relationship to what the sources called angry throngs of people.
That's an impossible position for anyone, let alone someone suffering from her kind of arrested development. So, decades later, how does she reconcile that?
Her current view is an unequivocal refusal to defend the storyline. Her rationale is simple and is powerful. She says she doesn't believe that a person who is truly raped would then fall in love with the aggressor.
And she's planning to be more public about this.
Yeah, she plans to use her upcoming book as a vehicle to detail this whole complex reckoning. The burden of defending a story she just no longer believes in.
It's hard to imagine the pressure of living up to that pop culture moment while carrying that personal history. The stability she found, it seems, came from her 40-year marriage to Jonathan Frakes.
Absolutely. Let's look at how that partnership began.
It's a very Hollywood story.
It is. They met properly while working on the miniseries North and South, and Frances found herself confiding in Kirstie Alley, who, in a classic matchmaker move, took action.
What did she do?
Well, Alley affectionately called Frakes the Mambo King. And she just went and told him flat out that Genie Frances had a crush on him.
And Frances's initial attraction, it speaks volumes about her anxiety and her, arrested development.
He really does. She wasn't drawn to his fame. She was drawn to what she called his incredible social ease.
The very quality she felt she completely lacked.
Exactly. And that contrast, her social anxiety and his natural sociability, that became the core friction point in their marriage for decades.
He's described as super social, right? A guy who can't say no.
Right. And she, conversely, requires extensive, quiet downtime just to manage her social anxiety.
And Frakes admitted quite candidly in the sources that he was pretty selfish about it at first.
He was. He remembered dragging her to social events with his Star Trek colleagues. Brent Spiner, Laurie, Pat Stewart.
And this was often after they'd both just worked these grueling 80-hour weeks.
Yes. She was exhausted, anxious, and he was prioritizing his own social fulfillment.
So what changed? The sources highlight this crucial adjustment he made.
A huge adjustment in the last 10 to 15 years that fundamentally transformed their partnership.
Yeah.
Made it, in their words, better than ever.
What was it?
Instead of pressuring her to go or making her call and cancel, which put all the emotional burden on her, Frakes started proactively just going alone.
He would simply tell her, send your regrets, and promise to be home in a couple of hours.
Exactly. That simple shift, taking the social burden entirely off her shoulders, was revolutionary for them.
It's a huge lesson in long-term partnership, isn't it? Sometimes the greatest act of love is just removing the requirement to participate.
It is. And what's fascinating is how the world then kind of adapted to accommodate her needs entirely.
This is the promised land comment.
Precisely. The COVID-19 pandemic arrived, and for Frances, it became her promised land because all that social pressure was just gone. The guilt vanished. She loved being stuck at home with Frakes, their daughter, and their daughter's boyfriend.
Just focusing on quiet family activities.
Cooking, gardening, playing Scrabble and Rummy Cube. Simple things.
This level of candor leads us right into how they navigated mental health within their marriage. She described her social anxiety as so severe.
So severe that the subconscious knowledge of an evening event would cause her to get physically teary and upset while she was just out shopping earlier in the day.
It wasn't even a conscious panic. It was her body reacting to future stress.
Exactly. And that led to a powerful realization about her family history. She recognized this anxiety ran deep. She remembered her mother suffering from it badly.
Rushing them home from the grocery store.
Yes, panicking and rushing them home with no explanation. She also discovered her great-grandmother would retreat to her room and close the door when company came over, just saying she didn't want to interfere.
Seeing that generational pattern must have offered some measure of, I don't know, self-forgiveness.
Oh, absolutely. It
Huh?
wasn't a flaw. It was this deeply ingrained trait.
They also discussed her deepest struggles with depression, the times she would go, as she put it, down the rabbit hole.
And Frakes' response during those crises was simplified to one primary directive: never leave her alone.
That sounds incredibly taxing for a partner. What did Frakes learn about his role during those times?
He shared the best advice he ever got from a psychiatrist. It was metaphorical, but so practical.
What was it?
The shrink told him that when she's in that low, dark place, all you can do is just walk along the riverbank with her.
Don't try to pull her out.
Don't try to fix her or solve it. His only job was accompaniment, just making sure she wasn't abandoned in the dark.
That reframing from fixer to companion, that has to be the key.
It is. Frances noted that when the dark period finally lifts, she can physically feel it. She can stand up straight and breathe again. And she always thanks Frakes for staying, for walking that riverbank with her.
And Frakes mentioned something really hopeful.
He did. He said he hasn't had to walk down the riverbank with her in years, which suggests that long-term recovery, real stability, is possible.
She also called menopause a second promised land for her.
Another period where the biological turmoil just lifted. It's a beautiful parallel.
And we also get context from their colleague, Maurice Benard, who spoke so candidly about his own severe struggles with bipolar disorder.
He did. He recounted a specific breakdown where, after drinking white wine, he actually threatened his wife and nieces.
And he described that behavior as the game you play when you're bipolar and you've had drinks.
It's a very sobering reminder of the volatility and the acute danger that severe mental illness can pose to families.
And both Frances and Frakes agreed that for anyone supporting a loved one, love and patience are really the only things you can consistently offer.
Which brings us to this breakthrough moment she had artistically, and a recent scene with Benard.
This is where she channels a childhood trauma.
Yes, her personal history met her professional life in this pivotal way. She realized mid-scene that she was channeling a trauma from when she was only 2.5 years old.
What happened?
She had gotten lost and was trying to reach a picnic table full of drunken adults. She described feeling completely frozen, unable to move or speak, just unable to get home.
So she suddenly recognized that specific, devastating feeling of helpless abandonment during the scene.
Exactly. The feeling of being frozen and unseen as a child just flooded her during the performance. And because Benard is so familiar with authentic emotional volatility, he instantly knew this wasn't acting.
He knew it was real.
He knew it was real experience being used. He supported her completely in the moment, and he called it the most exciting thing she had ever done in her professional life.
Wow. It's the ultimate example of a survivor using their deepest wound as fuel for authentic art.
It really is.
Let's transition to their final reflections on the entertainment industry itself. Frances contrasted the acting style of the 70s with today.
Right, she described the 70s style as much more pumped up and histrionic. She'd get directorial notes like, "Cry more,"
Whereas the modern preference
is what she calls a more realistic fly-on-the-wall performance. The old style was about theatrical display. The new style is about finding a small, nuanced truth.
and she credits her father for empowering her to stand up to that older style of directing.
He told her at a young age that some directors are just traffic cops, which meant she didn't have to give in to notes that felt untruthful.
Which is a powerful validation of artistic integrity.
Yeah.
But what's really surprising is that she says current soap work is harder than ever.
It is surprising. You'd think technology would make it easier.
So why is it harder?
The sources clarified that the technical limitations create extreme pressure. There are virtually no takes, no rehearsals, and they're often shooting 3 or 4 full episodes in a single day.
A marathon day.
A marathon of sustained, intense emotion across countless scenes with no downtime.
Now, switching gears to Jonathan Frakes, he talked about the enduring, almost religious popularity of Star Trek, The Next Generation. What does he attribute that to?
He credits the late Gene Roddenberry for creating a foundation built purely on hope. Roddenberry envisioned this utopian future where core human conflicts,
No racism, no sexism.
and those were solved problems. And that positive vision, Frakes argues, is rare and it's deeply comforting to audiences.
And central to that whole philosophy is the prime directive.
The Prime Directive. For those less immersed in the Trek universe, it's this philosophical mandate of strict non-interference,
It says Starfleet can't interfere with the internal development of other civilizations.
especially less advanced ones. It's the ethical backbone of Roddenberry's vision. It suggests a utopian future respects autonomy and avoids the arrogance of enforced progress. And that ethical anchor is why the show is still so resonant.
So what does this all mean when we bring these threads together? We've analyzed a story of two different kinds of professional resilience. But the real story is about deep personal resilience.
It really is. It's the journey of Genie Francis from what she herself called a broken person suffering from arrested development to a survivor in her 60s who is now leveraging her deepest traumas to produce her most authentic, award-worthy work.
And for their marriage.
For their marriage, it's the powerful insight that a 40-year partnership thrives not through fixing your partner, but through these selfless, simple adjustments, like one person learning to walk the riverbank and the other learning to send their regrets.
That ability to share such raw vulnerability is remarkable. Frances mentioned at one point that doctors heal people and firefighters save people, which prompted her to ask, what is the true use of actors?
It's a great question.
So here's something for you to consider. Given the incredibly candid sharing in these sources about the reality of severe mental illness, of trauma, what is the responsibility and the unique value provided by famous individuals who choose to openly share their deepest vulnerabilities? Is it just entertainment, or is it maybe a form of communal healing? Something to think about as you apply this knowledge and empathy in your own life.